Okay, so one of the first things we need to do is remove the wheel. 19 millimeter, remove your lug nuts. Remove your wheel. Now that the wheel's off, let's remove our axle nut using a 32 millimeter socket. Push in on your axle, make sure it can move. If for some reason your axle doesn't push in and out, just use a punch and a hammer, go right in the center, bonk, bonk, bonk. Okay, so we're at our outer tie rod end now. We're gonna remove the locking clip or cotter pin. If you have more of these, you don't have to worry about destroying them. Remove the nut. Put that back on, just a couple threads. Now we're gonna bonk right here on the knuckle. You wanna be careful for your boot and of course the threads of your tie rod. There we go. So next we're gonna remove our 10 millimeter headed bolt that holds this bracket for the ABS wire. We need as much slack as possible. Let's start one of our lug nuts on here, just to hold this rotor from moving around. Now we're gonna move along to these bolts right up here, and that's what holds the knuckle to the strut. We'll remove our 21 millimeter headed nuts. You don't necessarily have to hold the bolt side because it's splined and it's holding on inside there. Now we're just going to push these bolts out. There they are. Carefully bring this down. So let's follow that ABS wire. It comes right under here. I'm going to use a little forky tool. I'm just going to try to get it off of its little retainer. Now when you look at it, you can see there's a little red locking tab. That needs to be pulled. Then you squeeze this area with your finger and separate these two pieces. So now I'm going to carefully lower the knuckle down, nice and loose on that brake hose. I'm going to try to work the axle out of here. There we go. Now I'm just going to tie up this so it can't go anywhere. I'm going to take something as simple as a small bungee cord, and I'm going to try to tie up this axle. I'm going to go right to the sway bar link. It doesn't need to be anything too crazy. Just something that's going to keep the axle from potentially falling down and hurting me once I break it free. So you can see the axle right here, of course. Right there is where the axle is going to separate from the joining axle there. So what we need to do is spray this with a little bit of penetrant and let it sit for a second. Shut your eyes. And then of course, once this sits, I'm going to try to bonk right here on the axle and try to drive it out. Okay, so I'm going to try to hit right here with my hammer, see if I can drive this out. Oh yeah, look at that, separating. Hold that axle. Beautiful. Take off my little safety bungee here. Remove the axle. Okay, we have our new TRQ axle. A little bit of copper never sees. Let's spray that splined area. That's just going to help that come out again someday, just in case. Carefully bring it up inside here. You might notice that it doesn't seem like it wants to go on, but it will. A few light slams. It's close. Rubber mallet. I don't want to damage any threads here. Okay, so that's definitely in. I can grab that inside part of the axle, give it a tug. It doesn't want to come out. Beautiful. Get my light out of the way here. We'll continue. Let's take off our new axle nut here. We're going to continue with the copper never sees and do these splines. This is where it goes into the bearing. Now we're going to work it in. Slides right in there. Grab my bolts. These come through from the front to the rear. Good idea to use a little bit of thread locker on these bolts. Let's take our nuts. Start them both on there. Now we're going to bottom them out. Now we'll torque them to manufacturer's specifications. Let's torque these to 65 foot-pounds. We've got our axle nut, a little bit of thread locker if you'd like. We're just going to snug this up until it bottoms out, and then we're going to stop so we can torque it to manufacturer's specifications. So now I'm going to use a nice long pry bar. I'm just going to go between the studs just like this. That's going to hold this from spinning while I try to torque this. Torque it to 118 foot-pounds. Put the wheel up on. So let's snug up the lug nuts. Let's torque our lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds. Torqued.